it's Horsey Steph, and today we are back with a little bit of a different kind of video. My hope is that on Sundays, instead of doing reactions, we can do some sort of vlog type content. And today we're gonna kind of kick that off with a product review. So before we get started, if you could leave a comment down below, hit that like button, and subscribe for future videos, that would be fantastic. The product I want to review today is the Lumiere Anka Breastplate. They make this in several different shades and colors, some really attractive ones, but I got it for Christmas in just plain black. Definitely not the prettiest option, but I kind of started with the black look because I like the dark pink on it, so I had this kind of black and pink theme. And then it's just easier to get everything in black because black always matches. When you deal with brown, it's like you have a different shade here, a different shade there. So it can be slightly trickier to match the brown. The only piece of equipment I have that is not currently black is Lucy's saddle. It's kind of worn anyway. My plan in the future is to dye that saddle black, but I haven't quite done it because I'm a little chicken. So if you guys have any suggestions on dyeing tack or any good products to use, leave a comment down below, let me know. Because then all my tack will be black and that will be lovely. That was a little bit of a long ramble. Let's go ahead and jump into the product review. So this Lumiere breastplate, certainly not the cheapest option out there, but what I love about Lumiere is it's really high quality leather goods for a very affordable price. So this Anka breastplate retails for just slightly over $130, which when you think about it is really not a bad price for an anatomic breastplate. When I was looking for a breastplate for my horses, I wanted something anatomic. Before getting this breastplate, what I was riding Lucy in was a Shire's 5-point breastplate. And it did work, it did the job. Her saddle slips a lot, especially when she jumps, it likes to slide back. And then when she lands, it slides forward a little bit. And then the other thing with Lou is I do not tighten her girth very tight. I like to leave it a little loose. I found she goes much better with a loose girth. But the downside of the loose girth is it does enhance my saddle slipping issues, especially when jumping. The Shire's breastplate I have been riding her in, I've had for a very long time. The two problems I have with it on Lucy is, first off, it is a full-size breastplate and it was a little bit too big for her, but I kind of jerry-rigged it, punched a lot more holes and made it work. And then my other issue with it is I always felt like her shoulder hit it, so she was really pulling the saddle forward every stride with her shoulder. I'm always asking them to be more open in their shoulder, through their back, have better biomechanics, and if I'm expecting her to pull her saddle forward every step, it's really not very helpful. When I asked for this breastplate for Christmas, I also was thinking this might work for London. So London needs a breastplate. His saddle, when it fits perfectly, it doesn't slip, which is great. However, his back changes so rapidly, he gains weight, he loses weight. I mean, he can drop 100 pounds overnight because of his muscle wasting issues. Getting a saddle to fit consistently, it's just not gonna happen. I can readjust his saddle and I can get it to fit, but I can't do that every week. I have put breastplates on him in the past. He has several issues with breastplates. He's extremely picky. So the biggest issue I run into with him with breastplates is if it rides up his neck at all, and he starts to feel that like choke as he moves, he slams on the brakes. Any pressure up on his throat, he's like, I can't go forward. And I think there's a little bit of a combo there. I did try to work him through that a little bit and try to like convince him he was okay, but there was so much tension, I don't think it will ever completely go away. So back to breastplate. And all of my current breastplates do have that, where either it's so loose that it really isn't effective, or when he puts his head all the way on the ground like he likes to, he feels that pressure. It's never been a problem when he's up in the front, it's a problem when he stretches, but I don't want to avoid his stretching, so it becomes a big issue for me. That's one issue he has. And I suspect some of that is just London is generally very picky about fit, how things feel. He gets claustrophobic easily. So I think that's one element of it. And then I think the other element of this is that I rode him in a neck rope for years. I still ride him in a neck rope occasionally. Because he's so used to that neck rope, he knows that a little tiny pickup with a neck rope means he needs to stop. So that certainly doesn't help our breastplate issue either. The other issue London had with breastplate fit was that they would constantly rub and chafe his shoulders. He has extremely sensitive skin, and even with sheepskin pads on his breastplates, they would still rub his shoulders with very minimal work. I also think if your breastplate is restricting that throw every time your horse stretches down, you're A, discouraging them from stretching down, and B, you're encouraging them to kind of block their airway and hold their breath. So I just think from a biomechanic point of view, the breastplate is going to interfere with the way I want my horses to go. And that's the last thing I want. I really want my breastplate to help my horses go better and improve their performance, not hinder them. So that is why I started turning to anatomic breastplates. And I thought, let me find what I think is going to be the best possible option for London. And if it works beautifully on London, it should also work beautifully on Lucy. But if he doesn't like it, it can become Lucy's anatomic breastplate, and I can look for a better option for London. I did tons of research. I had tons of options that I really loved, and I totally ignored price. Some of the breastplates I looked at were ludicrously expensive. I really looked at everything that just deviated from your standard 5-point or 3-point breastplates. I have had a little preference for a 5-point breastplate in the past because I love how they tend to have the sheepskin on them. And I also do think they stay out of the shoulder just a little bit better. So that was kind of my first thought, is can I find an anatomically shaped 5-point breastplate? The Anka breastplate is not a 5-point breastplate. It is actually a 3-point breastplate. And I adore how it fits, and I understand by looking at how it fits and seeing it on and how it works that if it were a 5-point, it wouldn't have the features I love so much about it. I do also have a girth from Lumiere, so this is not my first Lumiere product, and I will say quality has been there both times. The girth also that I bought from them, I bought a short stud girth with a sheepskin cover, and I will say I was so impressed. Also way cheaper than all the other options. I think it was like $250 for the girth and 2 covers. So let's go ahead and let me grab the breastplate and kind of show it to you real quick, and then explain what I have really loved about it. So this is the breastplate. It's a little bit hard for me to show the whole thing, but you can see how it fits here. I will go ahead and apologize. I did not clean this in advance, so I really should have done that. But I've been using it all week. It's a little dirty. But this is basically the breastplate. You can look at the leather. I mean, it's so soft and supple. I haven't oiled this, I haven't conditioned it. I do intend to do that this weekend. I really wanted to just jump in and try it and make sure that it was gonna work for me in case there was any reason I needed to return it. And then I was loving it and just haven't had time to clean it yet. You have basically, this is the piece that attaches under the horse's belly to their girth. Their chest goes in here. This is like your wither strap, essentially goes over the top. And then these attach to your girth strap. So you can just slide your girth right through this hole here, your billet basically, and attach it that way. I do think this could be a little bit tricky to do on a short flap. It kind of occurred to me as I was using this breastplate that if you have a short flap, you either are going to have to hike this up through your saddle, which I don't think will work very well, or put it maybe through your girth, you know, where your 2 pieces of your girth split, put it down one of them. I don't think it's big enough to fit through your entire girth. I do put both of my billets through here on Lucy's saddle, but only one through here on London's. And I do that because what's great is this is the cob-sized breastplate, and it fits both of my horses with the same adjustment. So I just make that small change. I put both billets through on Lou, makes it just a smidgen smaller, one through on London, and it fits beautifully. So let's go ahead and go into what I love, the kind of features of this breastplate. So this is the center of the breastplate. It goes right on their chest. If you look at how thick that is, it's thick, it's padded, and you're not getting one little pressure point. So a lot of these breastplates have like kind of a smaller, more rounded version here. And I found that it really just, it dug right into the throat. So I like how this one has more of like a yoke design. You can see how it can kind of curve around the neck. This piece is where you would attach your running martingale. It does, like, you can really bend it out of the way. You can bend it back. I don't use a running martingale, so it's a possibility I will cut this piece off in the future because I really don't need it, and I do think it gets in the way a little bit. But I haven't done it yet because I swear, even though I don't use running martingales ever, as soon as I cut it off, I'll certainly find a use for it, right? That's my luck. So what's really ingenious about this breastplate, though, is this curve here. This piece here has this big curve right here. So the way that works is you kind of angle it a little bit up like this, and it fits really nicely around the horse's shoulder. So instead of getting the traditional banging into the breastplate every time they move, but as the shoulder moves, it just slides back and forth on this leather. That worked brilliantly for me. I was a little bit worried that it wouldn't quite do as promised and it would still manage to interfere with the shoulder, but so far both of my horses have loved it. I have put my hand into the breastplate and I felt it just, I mean, they never hit it. There's never that tightness drawing on it. So that feature has worked really, really well. The only complaint I have about this design right here is that I have had a little bit of rubbing back here. And if you let your reins get really long and then shorten them again, especially if you hold your hands low, which is a bad habit of mine, your rein can pop up and get caught here, which is truly really freaking annoying. So my plan is to modify this breastplate. I do intend to put a little fuzzy right here just to hide that and hopefully also enclose this so it doesn't pop up anymore, and just so we don't get the rubbing. And I think the reason I'm getting rubbing here is just it's a little bit thicker here, and maybe some of it is that it was a little stiff when I first used it right here because there's a lot of stitching. So I didn't see any rubbing on London, which is surprising. I've only seen it on Lucy, so it could be an issue if it just needed a little oil and needed a little bit of working. The other feature I love so much about this breastplate is when it is all on, you can fit it nice and snug. When your horse rotates up, the whole breastplate rotates up with them. And then when they rotate down, the whole breastplate rotates down. And that's really why you're not getting the pinching here. Because you don't have a 5-point attachment up here to hold this in place, so that then the horse would rotate down and hit, your whole breastplate really does move with the front end of the horse and rotate. And if you think about mechanically what happens when a horse goes from a lifted state to a stretched state, their front end lowers as they go into that stretch work. And so this breastplate really allows you to have that rocking motion. When I fit it, it feels nice and snug everywhere so that my saddle's not slipping. I can put a hand right here, but it's not tons of room. And then if I ask my horse to lower and keep my hand here, the pressure on my hand doesn't change as their head goes all the way to the ground, like doing a carrot stretch to the ground basically. And so that is my favorite thing about this breastplate, and the way it's designed really allows for that to happen. Some other kind of cool features, I like how this end, this is where your billet goes, I like how this is designed. It seems really sturdy. They have a different kind of leather here that's a little thinner. I think will hold up a little better though versus this. Buckles are really nice quality. Ample adjustment. This is the cob size. Only critique on the adjustment, the strap that goes under their belly. I like that it has a clip. I like that it has holes. You notice that mine is buckled all the way up here, and I believe the original hole stopped here. So I did punch more holes. I don't think I can really get another hole in. That's why I didn't punch any more than this. On London, this fits perfectly all the way up here. Did occur to me when I first put it on that maybe I should try a smaller size. I don't actually know if they even offer pony size, but it did occur to me that I could try that. But the rest of this breastplate fits perfectly. And I think if I were to get a pony size, like I'm right in the middle of all of these adjustments, I think that this would be too small everywhere else if I were to get a pony size. So this does not fit Lucy. If I attach it to the girth like normal, it will be dropping down to her knees. I can slide her girth through, and that works just fine. I don't love doing that though. I'm kind of trying to figure out how to jerry rig something that will work a little bit better and make this just a little shorter. And this is a problem I've had with every breastplate on Lucy. And actually with a lot of my horses I run into it, that this piece tends to be a little bit too long for them. I don't know if it's how I fit my breastplates or just how big my horses' necks are. Like I said, London, he's got like a little pencil neck and a huge shoulder. The only reason he fits in a cob is because his saddle actually fits over his shoulder instead of behind his shoulder, and that's because it's the EQ Saddle Science saddle. So because I've moved his saddle up from where a normal saddle would be, it just shortens the breastplate. So I don't know why this strap isn't fitting my horses. Like I said, it fits London with all the extra holes, still doesn't fit Lou. And I'm gonna figure out how to kind of creatively make this a little bit shorter. So that's my only real complaint about this breastplate. And again, this is a problem I've had with every single breastplate on Lucy. So if you don't have a problem with normal breastplates, I don't think you'll have a problem with this. Sizing seems very standard. Like I said, bought a cob, knew a cob would be the right size for them, and it was the right size for them in the most part. That I think is only going to be an issue if you know you have the same issue as me, where that belt strap between their front legs going into their girth gets too long. And I really, I don't want it to fit super tight, but I also don't want a huge loop between their belly because I worry it's just dangerous. There really doesn't need to be a bunch of slack there and shouldn't be a bunch of slack there. So anyway, that is my product review of the Lumiere Anka breastplate. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope you found that helpful. I do absolutely love the breastplate. I love their products. My hope would be to try some more products from them in the future because I have been so happy with the quality of all of this. I mean, this leather, it's lovely, and I'm going to oil it and condition it and really take care of it, and it's going to be so much nicer than it looks right now. But it's great quality. I mean, I used it right out of the box, and you can't say that about all leather products. Some of them you really need to condition and supple up before you put on your horse. So happy with it. It's only about $130, so also very economical. I would really encourage you to give it a try. To me, it's the best anatomical breastplate out there, although admittedly this is the only one I've tried. But I did do tons of research, and this seemed like the best option to me to allow that shoulder freedom, allow the neck to drop without restricting it. I haven't jumped in it yet, but I'm sure it's going to perform fantastically jumping just based on how it moves with the horse. If for any reason it doesn't though, I will update this video in the future to reflect that. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you want future product reviews, let me know what you want me to review. I'll see you guys all next time. Bye!